Congratulations, Shilpi, on scoring a lovely 720, a Q50 and a V38, right?
Thank you, Dhananjay. Yes, a Q50 and a verbal 38 score. Yes.
So your story is supremely inspiring because of multiple reasons, right? And I want to touch upon the fact that you have a really, really hectic job, and managing something like the GMAT with the job that you have entails managing time really, really well. So just take me through how you balanced all of that, given your current situation.
Sure. So, I'm a physician, I'm a neurologist, and I specialize in stroke. And I have been working full time for the last 6 years. And, I work nights and days both. And sometimes I'm on like 96 hours straight call. So it was very hard for me to fit GMAT preparation into that routine. And especially with two kids at home, I have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old, and my husband is a cardiologist and he has a busy practice,
Hmm.
and COVID has been keeping both of us busy at work too because of the cases
Yeah.
rising, and my entire preparation was during that peak phase of COVID too.
Hmm.
So we are very thankful for the vaccines that really helped me give time to prepare, because as the cases started coming down, my preparation started going up.
Hmm.
So so it was a difficult journey, and I think, sorry.
This is a
You can
perfect
see
example of what you have to deal with. I mean, it's
okay, you
absolutely
can say hi,
understandable.
Amanda.
Yeah, this is
Okay,
pretty
so
cool.
she's
Hi.
very social and friendly.
Okay. Hey,
Hi.
what's her name?
So her name is Shania.
Shania. Hi, Shania. Bye, Shania.
Okay, do you want to go so that mama can finish this and I'll be right with you? Auntie found it. Yes, it's very nice. Auntie found it. So
I'm
you can see
definitely
my
keeping
life is
this
like this.
part of the interview. This is probably the one and only time this is really going live because it's so cool. This is exactly how your life is. And between all of this, you managed to study. And that's
Yes,
amazing.
and I have been out of high school. I graduated from high school in the year 2000. So you can see it's been a 21-year gap
Yeah.
between high school and starting my GMAT prep, and I haven't done quant since forever, right? And
Yeah.
English was never my forte, um, as as you know already.
Yeah.
So it was like this journey was really hard, but I would say that my husband's support was very important, because he would take care of the kids once he was home, and once he was home. Sorry, I'm putting this on my
Absolutely
daughter.
fine. I'm
So,
just going to roll this into the video.
so while my husband, took care of the kids in the evening, I would study once I was back from
Hmm.
work. And in between, like I come home sooner than my husband. I would spend time with my kids, and then once he was home, I would study. So that was my routine basically.
Got
I
it.
usually am a person who I start my clinic at like 7:30 in the morning, so I get up at 5:30, get ready, get to work, because I have a half an hour drive. So I like to sleep early, 8 o'clock. But with GMAT prep, I had to spend time studying because this was completely new to me.
So you
You
put
know,
in time at night basically, even after your
yes,
really crazy day, you just put in time and you put in
yes.
like 2 3 hours
No matter
daily.
how tired I was,
Hmm.
I had no choice. So, and I haven't spent time with my friends on weekends. We are very social people, and we like to invite people over. We like to mingle with people.
Hmm.
And as the COVID cases were going down, all the friends wanted to meet, but I had to decline so many invitations because I had to prioritize my GMAT prep over everything else.
That's what it takes. That's what it takes. So let's get into that. So you gave an attempt before the 720, obviously. What was your score then, and how did you prepare at that point of time?
Sure. So my first attempt, I scored a 640, and I scored Q49, and I scored uh, 28, I think, on my verbal at
Hmm.
that time.
Okay.
And when I scored a 28, I was very disheartened. So I requested for my ESR
Hmm.
analysis, and I realized I had scored a 33% on my sentence corrections.
Hmm.
Reading comprehension was around 60%, and my critical reasoning was around 50%.
Hmm.
So during my preparation, like when I gave the mock test, I was scoring in my 700. So I went into the exam very confident,
Hmm.
knowing that I know, what I'm getting into.
Hmm.
But the score was definitely disappointing. And I realized the loopholes in my preparation, and
Hmm.
I wanted to correct the loopholes. So that is where I stumbled upon EGMAT, I would
Okay.
say.
Hmm.
So
Did Shania
I
help you find EGMAT?
she did. If you, yes, she she did. She did some of my questions too while I was preparing. She would just hit the button sitting in my lap. So I would say I was at loss. I was like, what do I need to do? I've done GMAT mock test. I gave at least 8 or 9 GMAT mock tests,
Hmm.
except 2. I scored above 700 in all of those GMAT mock tests.
Okay.
And my verbal score was always like above 35, 36 in all of the mock tests.
Okay.
So now I have a verbal of 28. So I need to compensate, right?
Yeah.
And my quant is my stronghold. Like I knew I cannot lose my base in quant, but I have to build up on my base in verbal.
Yeah.
So I had, actually logged into GMAT Club.
Yeah.
And I was reading these success stories, and I stumbled upon actually a couple of interviews that you guys did with other people.
Hmm.
And, I was like, this is something I want to try. I need to give it a try to see, what works. And if this would help, do you need to do something or?
No, it's fine. So essentially, now you're in one success story. How does that kind of pan out for you, being in a success story versus seeing others? So you would have heard a lot of things that, we studied like this, we studied like that. Let's talk
Yeah,
about EGMAT learning and methodology, right? Very, very specifically.
sure.
What worked for you in it once you started doing the verbal course?
I will tell you, I'm a fan of EGMAT verbal.
Hmm.
I will say, like I said previously, English is not my forte, and
Hmm.
verbal is not just English skills. It's also about critical reasoning,
True.
critically analyzing things.
True.
So I think I realized that my critical analysis was not as bad as my grammar, sentence correction, understanding of the language or the meaning of the sentence in the sentence correction was.
Hmm.
So the first thing that I did was do the sentence correction modules on EGMAT.
Hmm.
And when I started doing the first module itself was stellar. I was like, oh my God, like this is eye-opening. Like this is basic that I should have known all along, but I did not. So I think there was that knowledge gap that I figured I had. And I realized that my score was not a score that was due to a bad day, So initially I was under the impression that my score was because I had a bad day. Okay. But once
And
I
a lot of
started
people are
doing
under that
EGMAT,
impression, by the way. A lot of people say that I had a bad day, so I didn't score well. It takes a lot of introspection to understand that no, there's something wrong here intrinsically.
oh yes. So I realized after I started doing the module that maybe the other days could have been good days, but this was not a bad day.
True.
Okay. So I realized it with my first module itself, where the knowledge gap was, and the way EGMAT teaches you. I'm a big fan. It may sound like this.
And trust me, so a lot of people tell me that, this seems very like, you pay people to do it. I cannot pay someone to do something like this, especially because Shania is also in the video. If you pay someone, Shania would not be in the video. Yeah, but
Oh no! You cannot pay me enough to say, to say such things, good things about somebody. Like if I
but yeah,
truly
go
believe in
ahead.
something,
Say loads of
yeah,
more
if I
nice
truly
things.
believe in something, then only I will tell you. And not just me. My husband was a pillar of support during all of this. So sometimes he would sit down with me, read with me when I would lose hope. That this is not like there's no end that I see in sight. So he would sit down with me, do some videos with me, so that he would give me some support. Hey, I am here with you. You do you. So even he listened to some of the videos while I was doing my
And what were
questions.
his thoughts?
He was like, this is amazing. He was like, you are teaching a person, like, I have been in US now for 13 years. I speak English. I interact with patients on daily basis. So, I was like, I have a decent English, but
Yeah.
what GMAT is very different from your daily spoken English. And the loopholes that we have in our spoken English, I think eGMAT provides you the base where you can build from there. So I think I would say after doing the first module, like I said before, I realized that that was not a fluke. I have knowledge gap. I need to cover it. So I started doing every module, and with every module, trust me, I learned something new. And I realized this is where I had this knowledge gap, and I need to rectify that knowledge gap by learning more. And it was very important for me to revise as well, sentence correction modules. And I went back and revised, and every time I learned, even with revision, every time I learned something new from that module, even though I was doing the same question, same module, but every time I took something new away from each module. The way Payal explains everything in the module, it is amazing. Like you're teaching a basic stuff to a child. And I take, like I teach myself to medical students, right? So teaching is a skill that develops over time, and some people have it inherent in them how to teach others. True. And I think eGMAT knows exactly what your brain is thinking right now, because if I would have a doubt, the next slide would cover that exact same doubt that I would have in the module before. So I think, like I said, I cannot stop talking praises about eGMAT.
Yeah, and that's how learning should be, right? It should be intuitive, especially for a student like you, and anyone, for example. So SE course, perfect. Let's talk about a little bit about CR as well and RC. So what were your learnings and main takeaways from those courses?
So I think CR is like the way you guys are pre-thinking. And I think I forgot to mention something. I did do Rajat's pre-sessions even before I enrolled in eGMAT. So I had kind of an idea of, what eGMAT was teaching in terms of how to do or GMAT CR section or RC section. So on those lectures, he talked about pre-thinking. But once I started CR on eGMAT, I realized that pre-thinking is the key to solving any of your, critical reasoning questions. And I think it also translates into your answering of questions about RC too.
True. It kind of extends into that. So I think the verbal course was definitely helpful for you. You ended up
Yes.
with the score, and then you reached out to us. So you reached out to support and said, this is my ESR. I have limited time. I would love to show that email as well. So that email said, I have limited time, I have limited space. And Shania has lots of fun to have as well. And then essentially, I have to give the exam at this date, otherwise I can't give it. And I need a plan. I need
Yes.
a study plan, and you need to help me out.
Yes.
So what happened after that? Take me through that.
Sure. So, Dhananjay, I'm very, blessed to have you as one of my mentors during this time, because at least I had a person that I could put a face to, which is very important for me for my learning process. So when I reached out to eGMAT, I was like, can you give me a personal tutor? And I really need to work on my sentence correction, and I really need to bump up my verbal scores so as to make it to the school of my choice for MBA. So I got the email saying that, hey, what about this? And like basically it was like hand holding. So you were like, hey, she'll be looking at your ESR score. I think these are the things that you need to do. So I was in time crunch. So like I have had a very busy week this week, and I am on call starting at noon today through another, entire week, 24 hours, 7 days of call. So I was like, if I give my exam now, it's going to happen.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to give the exam for another 1 month.
true.
So I was like, I need to get this done before I start my service. Anyhow, you actually laid out a plan for me based on that each week I had. So I tried to keep up with that plan, given all my time constraints and my commitments, work commitments, everything.
And I knew
And
that you wouldn't be able to, but the idea of giving you that plan was to give you a framework or structure that this is what you need to get done. I mean,
yes,
the quality is important, the quantity is not.
yes. So I focused on that structure that you provided to me to uh, do the CR particular modules that you suggested, RC the particular modules that you suggested, and also the SC revision modules, and algebra was another thing that you had. We figured that even though I had like a Q49 in my first one. Algebra was my weak point. So we focused on my algebra lectures on quant as well. So I think
What
all
are your
of those
views on the
things.
quant course, Shilpi? So you've been through the verbal course. What are your views on the new
Yeah.
quant course? Because this is the new platform, by the way. So what's your feedback on that?
Uh, I will say that, see, I did not use your quant
Hmm.
uh, completely because
Hmm.
I had a good quant course prior to that.
Yeah.
But I did build on my existing quant by doing your questions. There were some things that I had not seen before,
Hmm.
and there were some, I should say, doing things within the time frame, because quant is not just about knowing your stuff, it's about knowing your stuff and doing it timely,
Yeah. So
right?
those
So
process
I think there were,
skills, essentially.
yes. So I think there were some questions that I can solve, but I need 10 minutes to solve it. So how to solve it within that time frame of 3 minutes was very important.
Hmm.
I tried to do all the questions that I could on the quant for algebra, and then I tried to move on to geometry as a revision, as I would
Hmm.
say.
Hmm.
And I think that part was helpful for me to revise quant so that I did not lose my base in quant and
Got it.
actually build on it.
Got it. So, in terms of a retake study plan, you had about 16, 17 days to get to 720. So, 640 to 720. Did you think it was possible, or did you think I was just faffing and telling you that, I trust you, this is going to happen? Do you think there was firm data to tell you that if you do this, you will be successful?
So I'll tell you, I kind of trusted you in, how should I say, um, I had lost my own confidence after the first attempt, right? So I was where doing scoring actually 720, 730, and even 750 on the mock test. And that too, I'm talking about the mock test from the MBA.com website.
Hmm.
So, and all of a sudden I'm at 640. So I had lost my confidence. And I think when somebody else was telling me, in my case, that is you. So somebody else said that I think you can make it. You can get to 700, which was my goal, to get to
Hmm.
700. So you were like, hey, you can do it. You're not too far. Let's just get these things out of the way. So I think that was very helpful for me as a reassurance that I have not lost everything. And I think that was important for me to hear from a third person,
Hmm.
that this is your interpretation of my skill set, or this is your interpretation of, uh, you know, how I can still score a good score on GMAT. And
Hmm.
there are other people who have been involved in my preparation,
Hmm.
and they are some wonderful people. And I think they reassured me as well. So together, though I had lost confidence and I had given up, to be
Hmm.
honest, I was like, I'm done. Somebody had told me, like, if you're a physician, you don't even need a GMAT, because most of the schools here would waive. If you're talking about non-top tier schools, they would waive your GMAT because
Yeah,
you are a
they would.
physician, you have been working. So they would waive your GMAT. So I was targeting Wharton. I am still targeting Wharton, and Wharton needs your GMAT no matter what you do.
And you have a very good
So
chance now, by the way, with a 720. It's
I
you literally
hope
have a foot
so.
in the door. I
I
won't
hope
jinx it. I
so.
won't jinx it too soon, but yeah, I think that's a sign for things to come. Again, I just wanted to congratulate you, your entire family,
Thank
Shania,
you.
in particular, on this 720. I think it's an incredible feat, given that you're a doctor during COVID, with the amount of time that you've been working, to give the GMAT, score well on it, and manage everything that you have. It's really cool. I'm super inspired myself, and yeah, I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you so much, Dhananjay. Yeah.